Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is MTG Ghoul Dude, and today we're going to be covering some more of those lands that land. So, somebody asked for it, so I'm going to go on ahead and do it. Now, these are specifically lands that only tap for any color. There's no restriction. They come in, do their thing, and then you can tap them for any color. Then I do have some honorable mentions that are specific to maybe a few different things, like, a control deck that might not have a lot of creatures, or, a deck that might not have a lot of artifacts. This is just in case. But without further ado, let's go on ahead and get into the video. Woo. Hold up, wait a minute. There we go. All right, starting off strong with the Tarnished Citadel. You can tap this to add one colorless to your mana pool, but you can also tap this to add one mana of any color to your mana pool if you want to take the 3 damage. Now, more of these first couple cards are going to be definitely along the lines of cards you definitely more see in highly tuned decks that are super optimized and upgraded and are riding that fine line of almost CEDH or a CEDH deck. So just keep that in mind when you start playing with lands that are unconditional any color mana, but that come with a price. Mana Confluence is another one of those beautiful cards that when you tap it, you pay a life. I know these cards very well, and I have to look out very, very much so for cards like this because Ob Nixilis loves those one little pings. So, Mana Confluences are my best friend. Always got to keep my eye out for them. Gemstone Mine is another one of those that I consider a very well played land. This one could actually be in more casual lists, in my opinion, because it does sacrifice itself. So, unless you are proliferating those mining counters, that you really kind of can't keep it for too long. Forbidden Orchard taps for 1 mana of any color, but the downside is it gives your opponents a 1/1, a colorless 1/1, and I'm all for it. I mean, sometimes in higher power you kind of don't care if your opponent has the 1/1 because you're just gonna use this mana that you get off of it to finish your combo and be done with it. But I also do like the fact that this is an orchard built on top of a graveyard, and it was just like sprung up around a graveyard. Love the artwork on this one. Then we have good old faithful Command Tower. This one needs no introduction, and I mean, this is just a Command Tower. Goes in any deck that runs one color. I mean, you don't necessarily need it for one color, but runs it in multicolor. This is probably the best land in multicolor decks. It's no downside. Only plays for your commander's colors. If you have multiple commanders, it taps for one of any of those colors. I mean, you just can't beat Command Tower unless you're playing like a monocolor deck and you need forests. City of Brass is another one of those Ob Nixilis cards I have to keep the lookout for. Becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to you. Let it be known that if somebody has a way to continuously tap your City of Brass, does not matter if it becomes tapped, it deals you a damage. Let that be known, especially if somebody decides they want to just start tapping untap party in your City of Brass to kill you. And now we get into the more friendlier options, the more commonplace, what are they called? The more budget friendly multicolor lands that I consider, this is not bad. So on top of coming in tapped, some of these actually do have a much heavier downside. When it comes in, you sacrifice it unless you pay 1. So, like, say this is your only land, and unless you have a way to, like, immediately untap lands as they come in, sacrifice it. It's a heavy price to pay to play with multiple colors. Same way with the Gateway Plaza. It's one mana of any color, but it comes in tapped and you got to pay one for it. Granted, later on in the game, it does help not having to worry about, well, I'm tapping all this mana, but I don't have to worry because I have all of my 5-color lands off to the side. Still a great inclusion. Grand Coliseum, this is one of the ones that doesn't have, you don't have to pay for it, but it still does enter tapped, and it does tap for any color, but it deals you a damage. This one is not as seen as much in CEDH, so I don't have to worry about this one. But on the upside, it does still tap for a colorless if you don't want to use it. It's kind of like a Ancient Tomb that has a Urborg ability or a Chromatic Lantern effect. That way you don't have to take the damage. Ooh. Which is a great effect, especially if you can find a way to, just keep all of your, what is it called? Lost me. Yeah, if you can keep all of your lands entering untapped and you have like a Chromatic Lantern effect. I mean, at that point, you don't really need 5-color lands, but it's still necessary. You still need them to play the game until you find your lantern. Rupture Spire, back to those that enter tapped and cost you a mana. Along with Transguild Promenade. I call it Promenade. Do you call it Promenade? I used to call it Promenade. I call it Promenade now because it's like lemonade. It's just how my brain works. And now we get into the 3 honorable mentions that I wanted to add onto the list. Starting out with Thran Quarry. This is an oldie but a goodie. At the end of each turn, if you control no creatures, sacrifice the Thran Quarry. These are those situational lands that, you're going to get 1 mana of any color. But if you're not doing it, and if you're not doing what the land wants you to do, then you're going to lose it one way or the other. Spire of Industry, tap to add colorless, or you can tap it, pay a life to add 1 mana of any color. You can only activate that ability if you control an artifact. Which artifacts are becoming more commonplace nowadays in all kinds of decks. I mean, you could probably play it in like a green-blue deck and not have to probably worry about it. And finally, for all the cards that I have shown here, I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about some of the other ones. Pillar of the Perrunes. This is a multicolor. This allows you to tap for 1 of any color, and you can only spend it to cast multicolored spells. So unless you're like heavy into the like an Ob Nixilis type deck, not an Ob Nixilis, a Niv Mizzet, like the Guild Pact deck, you're not really going to be looking forward to paying for those multicolor spells. But along with those, I'm going to talk about a few more of them. We do have the lands that sacrificed in the white through colorless, or the white through green. There are some lands that sack to add 1 mana of any color. So those could be useful and necessary if you're looking to build on the budget side. I will probably come out with like a slideshow later on, probably next week. I'm working on it right now. I finally got to the point to where I can do like slideshow stuffs with it. So I'm going to start doing those. I'm going to try and like put it out and, show you guys all the different types of lands, what they're called, and, where you could probably find them, the names of them, the nicknames of them. Because a lot of these lands have nicknames, and some of them I didn't even know had nicknames. Some of them are quite funny. But stay tuned for that. I'll try to put that out within a week or so, probably next week around this same time. But that is going to be it. And I appreciate everything you guys do for the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and sharing. If you're new to the channel, drop it a share if this is the kind of content you like. I like, getting information out to people. I like sharing information. I like, kind of digging deep into information and learning and, letting people know kind of what I learned from it. And but if this is the kind of vibe you're looking for, I mean, this is us all the time. But that is going to be it, and I will see you guys next time in the graveyard.